We'll give people another minute or two to log in, and then we can go ahead and get started, Lee.
All right, thanks so much.
Okay. I think most of you have all taken the opportunity to participate in the phase one, and hopefully, if you already participated in a phase two, you're using this one as a refresher because you're getting to process that first pay period for 2023. And this is Brie LaSalle, by the way. And I am going to let Lee Sherman take it over. She's our client services manager at Empower and your point of contact as a care center administrator. She's going to walk you through just how to use the site, how to remit contributions, add people, run reports, just try and make you as familiar as possible. So Lee, I will let you go ahead and get started.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Bree. And just to verify, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So as Bree mentioned, my name is Lee Sherman. I am your contact here at Empower. You'll be calling or emailing me if you have any questions about our website, how to submit contributions, questions about forms, that kind of thing. If you do have a question that I'm unfortunately unable to answer, I can at least point you in the right direction. And so today we are going to be talking about the employee forms, how to add a new employee, update an existing employee if they change their address or something along those lines. We're going to talk about how to add your care center's bank account information, how to submit contributions, and also we'll touch a little bit about reports. So the first thing I want to show you is, sorry, the website. Bear with me just a moment. There we go. Sorry about that. This is the website, and this is the homepage, what you'll see when you log into the website. So although we have set up your login access to really only see your care center's information, when you log in, you will see the entirety of the Privia assets and the total number of participants, but this will be the only time that you'll see that broad information. One thing I want to mention in the bottom left-hand corner of the website is our contact information here at Empower. So my name is listed here, along with my email address and telephone number, and also my colleague David Lyons, who can assist you as well. We also list Kyle Hogan, the third-party administrator, as well as Rick Nelson, the financial advisor. So it's just kind of handy in case you're ever questioning how to contact someone. These are all of the names that can assist. And so the first thing that we're going to look at here is forms, and that is located under participants and then employee forms. So take just a moment to pull up. The two forms that you'll use most often is the paycheck contribution election form. This is a form that you'll want to give to your employees so that they can designate how much they want deducted from their paychecks. And you'll use the information on this form to update your payroll system. This form has recently been updated to show the 2023 IRS limits in case you were wondering about those. You'll also need the beneficiary designation form. And this form is completed by the employees, also turned into you. However, this form here should come back to Empower, and you can do that by uploading it through our website, which I'll show you in just a moment. We'll use the information on this form to update the employee's account on our website so that their beneficiaries are listed there.
I'm going to jump in, Lee. Sorry.
Sure.
The paycheck contribution election form, the beneficiary designation, and then I also sent out the safe harbor notice and summary plan description. Those 4 documents, they should be part of your new hire package. So because there's no eligibility as far as employees starting to defer, they can start deferring immediately upon hire so long as they're 21 years of age and work at least 20 hours, hired with the intent of working at least 20 hours a week or more. So those documents should be part of your new hire package when you bring somebody on to employment for the practice.
What are those 2 forms?
The beneficiary designation form, the paycheck contribution election form, and then the safe harbor notice and the summary plan description. I sent those out to the point of contacts at the care centers on November 28th. So that came from benefits@priviahealth.com, and that was part of that data request email. So those documents should be on that email. Okay, thanks, Lee.
No, thank you. One other form I want to mention is the participant enrollment form. This form is not used very often, but it is available. I would say it's more often used by someone who doesn't want to log into the website or doesn't have the ability to log into the website, because this form does have deferral information on it, but it can also be used for an employee to choose their investments. Typically, you would give them the paycheck contribution form, and then they would go on to our website and update their investment elections. For existing employees that you have, you probably sent Bree a census file. And so those employees' accounts are already established in our system, so they are able to go online and make those changes to their investments if they would like to. So once you have the beneficiary designation form back from an employee, you can upload them through our website, still under participants, and then you would click upload documents. You'll probably have a few beneficiary designation forms that you're sending over. So you can leave the default up here as multiple participants. You would change the document type to participant forms. You would then click this blue bar to select where you have those beneficiary forms saved on your computer. They'll upload, and then you click this blue button down here that says upload so that you actually send them over to Empower. Does anyone have any questions about the forms or how to get them back to Empower, or what you should do with them when you have them? we will now discuss how to add an employee to our system. And again, for anybody that was listed on the census file that you sent to Bree, they are already in our system. So also in the participants section, you'll have an option to click that says add employee. My website access is a little bit different than yours. So I do have screenshots I'm going to show. And if I could just make sure that everybody can see that.
Yes.
That's visible? Okay, thank you. So after clicking add employee, it'll bring you to this screen here where you're going to enter and confirm the social security number of the employee. You'll also indicate their date of birth and their last name, and then click continue. The next screen asks for their address, some more detailed information. One thing I want to mention is that we will need either an email address or a phone number. One of those data points is necessary to allow the participant to log into their account on our website. The reason for that is that we do have a two-factor security process, so we will send them a code either via email or text or phone call in order for them to access their account. You'll notice down at the bottom of this screen, it does ask about incoming rollover assistance. And what that is if a participant may have assets at another financial institution or with another employer, that they might be interested in rolling into their account here at Empower and with the Privia plan. You probably won't know if they do have rollover money. Most oftentimes you're just going to click the button that says don't know if employee has outside assets. Certainly if they do though, they will in the future have an opportunity to get assistance with rolling that money over to their account within the Privia plan. So after you enter that, you would click continue. And that will bring you to the eligibility information. I will mention that for any employees that are considered part-time, they are not eligible to participate in the Privia plan. If that's the case, you would list their eligibility code as no. I think probably more often than not, they will be eligible. And then you would just click continue. The next screen is in regards to their salary or compensation. So if they're paid an annual salary, you would indicate that on this screen. If they have an hourly rate, you would indicate that and then click continue. The next screen is pretty simple. It just asks for a hire date. That should be the only information that you have to enter on this screen. And then just click continue. The following screen is where you would indicate your care center's division code. I know that Privia calls them care centers. Here at Empower, we do call them divisions, so it's a little confusing. I'm sorry, but it's certainly if you ever have questions, you can give myself a call and I'll be happy to look that up for you. So this is important. You would want to drop that menu down and just choose the appropriate division. If you do enter an incorrect division or skip this step, you can call myself or Bree and we can make that update pretty quickly. And this is just what it would look like once you do enter in a division. The next screen will ask if you want to enroll the participant in a service that Empower offers called My Total Retirement. And that's just a service that we offer that will assist employees in choosing the investments according to their particular retirement goals. You would want to click continue participant enrollment into plan without my total retirement. You wouldn't want to choose that. The next screen is in regards to the investments. And what you'll want to do is choose at the bottom, continue using default allocations. That will set the employee up in Privia's default investment allocations, which are considered conservative. This final screen just kind of confirms that you've added, so-and-so employee. There should be a blue button here that says done. If for whatever reason you don't see the word done, that does mean that you've entered that employee into the wrong division. Just kind of a reminder that may have to get updated. And if you don't see the blue done button, you can call Bree or I and we can update the division accordingly. Any questions about how to add an employee?
No.
All right.
The division number will be communicated to the care center?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
The division number will be communicated to the care center?
That I'm not sure. Bree, have you communicated?
So that's actually something that is sent to the point of contact that gets access to the care center. So when you receive your login credentials for Empower, it'll give you the plan number, which will say, Privia Health Retirement Plan, and then 1260147. And then it'll also give you your division number. But Lee, do you want to switch back to the website so that you can show them where they can find their division number? So under participants, and then search employee, yours will auto-populate to the division.
Oh, yes.
It'll auto-populate to the division, but if you want to type in 260 in the division, Lee. And then click search. This will list all of your employees in the division, and it also shows the division number. The other places that it will auto-populate are on the payroll entry screen, and then when you want to add your banking information so that contributions can be remitted.
Okay, which is the column here is the division number?
The far right where it says division.
Or D260, okay.
Yeah, so that's just a test division. But again, yours will auto-populate at the top. So you'll just be able to click search. In the rare instance that you might have access to multiple divisions, maybe your care center has multiple locations. There are situations where there are two different divisions that you'd have access for, so you'd be able to toggle back and forth between the two divisions that you might have access to.
Okay.
Did we already get that information or login information to the Empower or not yet?
You should have. If you've sent me all of the information, if you sent me all of the information by the 16th or the deadline that I requested, then you should have received it. If you didn't get it to me, then I was out all last week. So I'm still working on getting everything that might have come in after the deadline.
So it'd be coming from you, Bree?
And that's why. I'm sorry?
It'd be coming from you?
The credentials will actually come directly from Empower. It's going to come from security@retirementpartner.com. You'll get two emails, one with your login ID and one with your password.
Okay, no, I don't think I've gotten it then.
Okay.
Do you want me to look into that after?
I'll look it up while you keep going on, Lee.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So yes, and thank you so much for that, Bree. But yes, as we just discussed, to find your participants, over on the left, you can click participants and then search employee. You do have the option of entering in either their name or possibly their social if there's just one person that you want to look at specifically. Once you enter that information, you can click search, or you can just click search to pull up everybody associated to your specific care center. So we are looking at the test division today, so all information is not real. So we're not breaking any security codes or anything like that. We are going to take a look here at John Smith's account. So once you see the name, you can just click on it, and that'll bring you to the home page, which will provide high-level information about the participant. So here you'll be able to see if there's an account balance, if there's any contributions, recent transactions by clicking the details link. You'll probably be coming out here, though, to edit some type of information, possibly an address, something along those lines. And that is found in employee detail. And this will, again, just give you, high level information, but also it will show their contact information, such as their address, their personal profile, employment information, and enrollment and eligibility. Again, my screen is a little bit different than yours, or my access rather is a little bit different than yours. So I don't have the options over here on the right that say edit. Once you log in and you need to make a change, you will have a link there that says edit, and you're able to click on that and then make the changes, say to the address or phone number, and then click save. And those changes are instant. So there's no waiting time. It will just update. One thing I will mention is that if for some reason there's a typo maybe or something wrong with a social security number, that isn't something that you're able to edit yourselves on the website. If you do find that there's a social security number that's incorrect, you can call Bree or I, and we can talk to you about having to get that fixed. Does anyone have questions about editing a participant account?
I'll add as far as terminating employees. So when somebody leaves or, there's an involuntary termination, it would be best to make the update to their account in Empower as soon as possible. This way it allows them to request a distribution. If it's not something that's done immediately and the employee goes in to request a distribution and there's no termination date, then Kyle Hogan and his team from Prime Pensions will have to be reaching out to you all to determine to learn what the termination date was. So if you just make this a part of your process when you terminate employees in the payroll system, next place to do it is in Empower so that they can take their distribution when they want to.
Perfect. Thanks, Bree. All right. And so we'll move on to submitting contributions on the website. You would want to click payroll and then enter payroll. And that will bring up a screen where you'll enter in the payroll date. This is the screen that Bree had mentioned earlier. So your division will pre-fill. So you're able to see your division number on this screen as well. And you'll also enter in the expected amount of the contributions. And so that expected amount is a total amount of all contributions. So you might be sending us pre-tax contributions, Roth contributions, safe harbor, and you would enter in the total of all of those contributions as opposed to just the total of the Roth or the pre-tax. And I'm sorry, I'm just waiting for this to come up. There it is. So this is what the screen looks like. You can click the calendar in order to enter in the payroll date. Again, this will pre-fill with your specific division. My access is a little bit different, so I see them all. Great, and so after you enter in that information, you would just click the blue button there that says continue. And that'll bring you to step 2. In step 2, this is where you'll be clicking the boxes for the type of contributions that you'll be sending. It'll probably always be before tax, possibly Roth, and also safe harbor non-elective. After some time, you may find that participants have requested loans, and you would make the loan repayments through this screen as well, and you can mark that box. One thing I'll add real quick is that you may see at times something that looks like this here, Safe Harbor Match, Austin Medical Merger. That just means that we're working on assets for a different care center. Unfortunately, our system doesn't have the ability to just isolate those to Austin Medical or whatever care center we're working on. So you can disregard those if you do see them. Then after you mark the money types, you'll click continue. That'll bring you to the screen that lists the participants in your care center. And this is where you would enter in the contribution amounts. You'll notice here the column headings. So the first column is what you would enter in for the employee before tax amounts. Second column is Roth. Last column to enter contribution amounts in is for the safe harbor non-elective amounts. So just hypothetically, just going to enter this in. One thing to point out is that the money source total, so the contributions that I've just entered, is $3. However, the amount that I listed on the original screen or first screen was only $2. So there is a difference there. So my $3 that I've just entered appears in red. Just kind of a heads up that there might be a typo somewhere in one of the amounts that I've submitted. And, it's just used to bring attention. We will always deduct the amount that is taken or input in this screen here, as opposed to the expected amount that you listed on the very first screen. So once you get done with that, you
I have a question.
Continue. Certainly.
So the amount has to be input in dollar amount or percentages?
This is the contributions that have actually been taken from participants' paychecks, so it is dollar amounts. I think what you might be referring to is the deferral percentages that are set up on someone's account to be deducted from their pay. So if they choose, say, 2%, a 2% deferral amount, that will equate to a dollar amount every time they're paid. Mm-hmm. And this is what you're entering on this screen, is the dollar amounts that were actually deducted from the paychecks.
So you want to run a payroll summary report after you process payroll for that pay period, and then use that to remit the contributions so that it matches what, as Lee said, the dollar amount that was withheld from their compensation.
So I'd add the dollar amount that will total the safe harbor and the profit sharing. Is that right?
I'm sorry.
I don't know if I'm confusing this whole thing.
Sure.
There's going to be a couple of different types of contributions. Lee, are you able to go back to step 3?
I don't think I can go.
I think you have to hit continue
Yeah.
first and then go. There you go. So when you're in step 3, the employee before tax or the Roth contributions are the amounts that are that they have elected to have withheld from their pay.
Mhm.
The safe harbor non-elective, that is a care center contribution. So that's not something that's going to be withheld from their pay, but that's going to be 3% of their gross compensation for that pay period.
Yes, I understand that part. What about the 1.4 additional profit sharing that we have to contribute to them as well?
Okay, so that again would be calculated the same way that the safe harbor non-elective is. It's 1.4% of gross compensation. So that's not a column that Lee selected to remit this pay period, but that is the ERO 1 source that was on in step 2. So you can, Lee, if you click that choose money sources, I think you should be able to add ERO 1.
Yes. Yep. Where?
Link over input order.
There we go. Sorry. There we go. And here is ERO, employer profit sharing.
Okay.
So we can add that column, which would appear over here.
Okay.
Right over here.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
So not only are we submitting for the 3%, but we're also submitting for the 1.4.
So that's something that the care center can decide. We strongly encourage that if the practice is in the situation where they can make both the safe harbor and the profit sharing contributions on a per pay period basis, then that would be best. I understand that that's not always feasible for care centers. So I would suggest that whatever frequency you choose, you stick to it and you're consistent. So if you want to make, the safe harbor contributions on a per pay period basis, then you can do that. And then maybe the profit sharing you can do on a quarterly basis, or you can do it on an annual basis. But it's really up to the care center, so long as that, once 2023 comes to an end, you make whatever true up contributions that will be communicated by me and Kyle from Prime Pensions by June 30th or prior to the practice filing its business taxes for 2023. The reason why I suggest to make them on a per pay period basis is that I've come across instances in the past where, a practice makes the contributions on an annual basis and somebody, there was an ugly termination in the middle of the year and the practice really has heartburn about making the contributions to that employee who termed in the middle of the year. But in order for the plan to be compliant, the practice really does have to make those contributions to that employee, no matter, hard feelings, good feelings, whatever. In order for the plan to pass the testing, those contributions have to be made to the employee. So hopefully that's not the case, but that's why we recommend that you do not just make them on an annual basis or on a per pay period, or a less frequent than per pay period basis.
But the contribution will only be made up until those 6 months. Let's say somebody chooses to do it in an annually payment, or what you're talking about, that employee will only be paid out the 6 months that they were employed, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So you're never going to pay them, for the entire year. It's going to be based on their compensation for the period of the year which they worked. But, if you make the contributions every March and somebody terminated in June of the previous year, then, and it wasn't a good termination, you still have to make those contributions, is what I'm getting at.
And does the employer has the choice to make the safe harbor non-elective payments, frequency? Can it determine on its own?
Yeah. So long as the contributions are made before the practice files its business taxes for the year or June 30th, whichever is sooner,
Okay.
then you guys can make it whenever you want. I would make sure that your staff are aware that it's not going to be something that's going to be done on a per pay period basis, just so that they're aware, we're going to make this on an annual basis, or we're going to make these on a quarterly basis. But this way, they're aware and they're not asking questions about why they're not receiving the 3% or the 1.4%.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Bree.
Great
One
questions.
thing I'll mention in regards to that is you're able to send, go through this process using just the employer profit sharing money type or just the safe harbor non-elective money type. It's really, you would just tell us or mark the website as to which type of contributions you're sending to us. Right, so once you enter in the amounts and you click continue, you're going to see this screen, which is a confirmation screen. We will have you verify the money types or money sources that you're submitting contributions for again, just to be extra sure. Down here is where you'll see the totals. So on that first screen, I did indicate it would only be $2 that we're submitting, but the amounts that I entered were actually $3. And that is shown here. Again, that is the only amount that will deduct from your bank account. And you'll notice some warnings down here. That is one of them, that the actual total does not equal the expected total. That is a warning that you can bypass, really just, again, a heads up in case there were any typos made. Another warning is in regards to the date that these contributions are going to be submitted. You'll see a date listed right here, and that is the date that the contributions will be applied, but you are able to change that date. If you typically submit contributions to us on a Friday, but you know that you'll be out of the office, and if you know what the contribution amounts are, you are able to come out to our website, list all of the information, all of the contribution amounts, but change this date to Friday. Even though you'll be out of the office, we are still able to run these contributions and apply these contributions because you have changed this particular date. After that, you'll click this box here that says that you have read and accept all of the warnings. Again, my access is a little bit different, so I do have a screenshot of what you'll see on the next screen after clicking continue. You'll just see that we are in the midst of submitting the information, and that might take a couple of seconds. Then you'll click the continue button once it appears. And this next screen is your confirmation screen. You do have the ability to print this screen, and I do strongly recommend that you do. And just keep it in your records, because this is the only time that you'll be able to have an opportunity to print this particular screen. If you were ever questioning contributions, you're certainly able to run a report or reach out to me and I can run the report for you, just in case you ever question the contributions. But I do recommend printing this screen. Once you complete the contributions, you'll be brought out to the pending contribution area, and this is what it'll look like. You'll see a reference number, which is just a confirmation number. You will have the ability to cancel it if you notice that you shouldn't have sent it or it was a duplicate, something along those lines. And then it'll just show you the total, the payroll date, as well as the cash effective date, which is also known as a trade date. You'll also see your division there. If for some reason you started contributions and maybe the phone rang, the information that you've entered doesn't disappear. Once you reach a certain point, it will save automatically. So you are able to come to payroll and then pending contributions, and you would see those contributions or that contribution roster out on the website, and it would look like this. If you see this garbage can, that means it's still in a pending status. You haven't completed it yet, but you're still able to. And you would click the reference number, and by doing that, it would bring you directly to the screen that lists all of the participants. If you do notice that there's something pending and you just want to delete it, you can just click that garbage can, and then that will delete it from that screen. Are there any questions about submitting contributions so far?
I have one question. I think Bree already said it, but just to make sure, when we're picking that money source, this is where we add if the employee is going to contribute as well or not, correct?
Not exactly.
No?
This is
just us, just the care center stuff.
Well, this is where you would enter the contributions that have been taken from paychecks, like from an employee's paycheck. I think maybe what you had just asked is if this is where you would enter that 4% deferral rate. Was that your question?
No, I guess my confusion is, do I have to pick that employee before tax? Like, what is that part right there? That's my confusion, but we can talk about it after so we don't hold up anybody.
Okay. Well, and that's okay to discuss it now. We're almost to the end. But this is the first step the second step where the money type totals are, is where you would initially click to choose the types of contributions that you're sending to us. So the employee before tax, the Roth, the safe harbor, and the employer profit sharing.
And, the paycheck contribution election form, all of your staff should complete that form and indicate whether or not they want to make deferrals. Even if they don't want to make deferrals, and I would recommend that they still fill out the form for audit purposes and, just put in 0 in section B, indicating that they don't want to make deferrals at this point in time. And, if somebody does want to make deferrals, then you would take that form to update your payroll system so that 3% or $50 per pay period, whatever it is that they elect to have withheld, is withheld from their paychecks. And then once you process payroll, that's when you enter these numbers into their accounts for the contributions.
Okay, got it.
Thanks, Bree. One other thing I wanted to mention, in regards to contributions, is that some larger care centers may use a payroll vendor. And the payroll vendors, depending on the payroll vendor and the type of product that you have with the payroll vendor, may have what's called a payroll bridge, where they submit the contributions to us on your behalf. And it really is for the larger care centers that might have more than 20 employees or 25 employees having contributions taken from their paychecks. If you do have a payroll vendor that you would like to have submit your contributions, you can reach out to Bree or I, and we'll start the process. One thing I wanted to mention in regards to sending contributions as well, actually, and I should have mentioned this first, I apologize. Prior to submitting the contributions, you will need to set up your care center's banking information. And that is done by clicking payroll and then view banking information. Your division will just pop up automatically. Over on the right here, you'll see the word edit. It is a hyperlink that you can click on in order to enter in the routing number and the bank account number. That is instant, so even though you may just set that up, you can then go ahead and send us contributions. So there's no waiting time or anything like that. Any questions that I can help with?
The only other question I have is for the doctors that are in the practice when they fill out their paperwork as well. Do we contribute the 3% and the 1.4% for them as well?
Again, that's up to the practice as to what they want to do. Whatever you choose for, I would make it a practice-wide decision. I don't think.
But I mean, we don't do them on our payroll. So how is that done?
Are you asking about the employer contributions or the employee contributions?
Employer.
Okay. So safe harbor and profit sharing, if you know what their gross pay is per pay period, which is on that physician compensation form that gets sent to payroll at Privia Health, then you can use that every pay period and multiply by 3%, and your physician owners aren't required to receive profit sharing. A lot of physicians wait until the end of the year to determine what their profit sharing is, or if they know that they want to make the 10% contribution for themselves, then they are able to do that throughout the year. But that's, the employer contributions, I would recommend just making sure that they are done on the same frequency as the staff's employer contributions.
Okay, so you're suggesting that we contribute on on the Empower form the 3% for the doctors as well as the staff?
Yes.
Okay. And when they choose a deferral on their employer, on that compensation form that we send to Privia, how does that work?
So, Lee, I'm actually going to pull up an example and share my screen.
Oh, okay.
Let me switch my screens around. All right. All right. Can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So this is a physician compensation form. If you're going to be remitting the contributions for the entire practice, physicians and staff alike, then you need to be made aware of any changes that physicians make to their compensation. So if this isn't something that you're typically privy to, I would request from the physician owner that you are, so, or at least they tell you what their deferral amounts are so that you can make the necessary contributions to their accounts every pay period. And this is the physician compensation form. Everybody should have seen it at this point already. Physician A's gross pay is going to be $7,000. So you would take the $7,000, and if you're going to make the safe harbor contributions on a per pay period basis, multiply that by 0.3, and you'll get the 3% that, or I'm sorry, 0.03, and you'll get the 3% that would need to be contributed to their accounts every pay period. And then their deferral amounts, whatever they want to defer, if they want to change it every pay period, they can. This example shows an even deferral maximum throughout the year. So $22,500 is the deferral maximum for those who are under the age of 50. And if they want to evenly defer through all 24 pay periods, then this should be filled out at $937.50. They could split this and do half and half, 400 some in the pre-tax and 400 some in the Roth. And then if you have somebody who is over 50 or 50 or over, then the catch up is $312 per pay period. If they want to max out earlier than December 31st of 2023, then they would just increase, whatever amount, like this person. So then they would get to the $20,500 before the December 31st paycheck. So
this $900 and some dollars is per paycheck?
Yeah, there's 24 pay periods for physicians. So $937.50 times 24 is $22,500. So what will happen is once this is sent over, so if your physicians want this to take effect with the first pay period of the year, this form needs to be updated and sent to payroll@priviahealth.com by Friday so that it takes effect on the January 13th payroll. And then on or around the 15th and the last day of every month, you'll see this total, which is $31.87. You'll see this hit the practice's bank account, and you then need to remit $937 for physician A, $1,250 for physician B, and $1,000 for physician C in Empower.
Okay, so Privia is sending the 401k deferral to us, and then we're remitting it to Empower.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
So that's
why don't you guys just send it to Empower?
Because it has to come from the care center's bank account.
Oh.
So, yeah. So that's why I strongly recommend that if you haven't seen a physician compensation form or you don't know what the withholdings are, then they at least need to share with you, the 401k related deferrals that are being withheld from their compensation. And then if a physician ever takes out a loan, then that would have to go into a miscellaneous deduction. And then, if it was $150 per pay period, then that would go into the loan money source so that their loans can be paid down.
So do you recommend, since they get paid twice a month, are there specific dates that we should be sending their deferrals to Empower? My staff also gets paid every other Monday, so it's never going to coincide. Or do I do it
maybe once a month, but all deferrals need to go in within 3 business days of the check. So okay. That's why we send it over immediately. And, it's there for you to remit to Empower within 3 business days of the check date.
And the docs are the 15th and the last day of the month?
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Lee, I will give it back to you.
Thanks, Bree. Did anyone have any other questions?
Yeah, a small question. Basically, an employee initially need to send 2 forms in respect of each employee. One is beneficiary designation, one is paycheck contribution, right?
Empower actually only needs the beneficiary designation form back. You would keep the contribution or the paycheck contribution form and use that to update your payroll system.
Okay, so that is kept by the care center, not sent to be sent to Privia, you mean?
Correct.
Paycheck contribution not to be sent to Privia, only kept by the care center, right?
Correct. Bree, you don't need that form, the paycheck contribution
I don't. Just keep it with the personnel records at the care center. Okay.
Now the related question is the beneficiary designation. The beneficiary actually is needed when the benefits has to be given to somebody. The point is 1 or 2 employees have an issue that they want, can this be sent later on, because they probably want to designate somebody else other than the spouse for which they will have to do the notary, etc. So they say, can it be done later stage, not immediately? Is it an issue? Is there an issue?
Yep, that is perfectly fine. That does come up every now and again, and it does take a little bit of time to get the form notarized if a married employee wants to designate someone other than their spouse.
It doesn't have to be sent immediately, right?
Yeah. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay. And so the last part of our meeting, I'll go through kind of quickly. I know we're very short on time. It is reports. You may want to run reports to double check your participant accounts information. You can run deposit detail reports and also loan reports. So you would click on reports and then standard reports. I find that most of the reports I use really are in the most frequently used tab. So I had just mentioned the participant data extract report that can be run, and that'll pull in the address information, hire date, birth date, all of the participant indicative data in case you wanted to audit everyone's information, determine who needs changes. We also have the participant deposit detail report, and that is a report that can be run for a particular time frame, and that would show, by payroll date or by trade date, the deposits for the specific participants as well as the money types. We also offer a plan contribution summary by money source report, which Bree had mentioned earlier in the meeting. This can be run so that you can double check all of the contributions that you've sent to us for a specific time frame to determine if they are all accurate. Another report we have that you'll be using is called the Participant Loan Detail Report. This particular report will show you all of the details of any active loans that the employees of your care center have. This is used to make sure that you're making the correct payment or timely payments. I will say that as a care center contact, you will be set up to receive a loan feedback file. And that loan feedback file it'll start as an email that we send to you notifying you that there is a report ready on the website. So you'll come out here, you'll look at the loan feedback file, and it will show you the participants who may have requested a loan on our website or paid a loan off. And just as an example, this is what the email would look like. And I would always look for loan feed file 4, and then it'll show the Privia account number and your care center number. This is just kind of the heads up to go out to the website and grab the report. And it is called the Trial Loan Detail Report, which you will find under the My Reports tab on the website, which is right here. I know we went over the reports kind of quickly. Did you have any questions? You may not have any questions about the reports now, but when you attempt to run them, you will, I'm sure. So certainly give me a call. I'm always happy to help.
And you can always take a look at what at an example of what the report will look like once you run it on that options tab. So
yeah, some of them do have samples.
So if you're not sure if it's the right report that you want to run and it's, you don't know if the data is going to be correct, that's a really good preview to run before, or, just to look at before you select the report to run and then determine that it's not what you were looking for. But you can't really screw anything up when you run a report. You might find that it doesn't have the necessary data that you want, so you'll have to, go back and forth a couple of times. But once you start using this, I find it very helpful. The participant deposit detail report, as Lee mentioned, that is one that I use probably 2 or 3 times a week with the number of care centers that we have, because they want to know what their year-to-date contributions are. So if you want to know and you don't want to wait for me to run it, then you can run it on your own. And, I'm happy to walk you through doing that and what to look for specifically. But I feel like they're pretty user-friendly. So I think that's all the 2 cents that I have.
Thank you so much. Are there any other questions? All right, I will turn it back over to you, Bree. Thank you.
All right. Well, you have everybody's point of contact information. So if you have any questions or if you're not ready to run payroll yet, then and it's not until the 15th, there's still time. I would get on Lee's calendar so that she can walk you through if you still aren't comfortable in remitting the contributions. It's going to take a couple of times to feel comfortable. But I think once you get the hang of it, it'll just be another 5 or 10 minutes that you add to payroll processing if you do it concurrently. So, but if you have any questions, don't be afraid to reach out, call us. If you can't reach one of us, that's unusual, but typically both of us are available. So, Thanks for taking time. I know we're a couple minutes over, so I appreciate you all taking time. And this was recorded, so I'm going to get this over to our communications team and post it up on Privia Connect. So if you want to review it or any of the other phases of the webinars, those will be up hopefully within the next week or two to use as reference guides. But thanks everybody for your time. Lee and David, thank you. I appreciate it. And we will be in touch.